All right. Hello, everyone. Good day. Welcome to our IUFRO webinar series in celebration of the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. This two-day event began yesterday, 11th of February 2025, featuring a total of 4 sessions. Today, we continue with session 3. My name is Jessa Ata from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, and I am honored to be part of the IUFRO team hosting this event. Like the previous sessions, today's webinar series brings together an outstanding panel of women researchers in forest science, each a trailblazer in their field. But before we begin, allow me to briefly introduce IUFRO. The International Union of Forest Research Organizations, or IUFRO, is a nonprofit, non-governmental global network of forest scientists dedicated to promoting international collaboration in forest-related research. It aims to advance knowledge and understanding of the ecological, economic, and social dimensions of forests, fostering sustainable solutions for forest management and conservation. Founded in 1892, IUFRO has a long and distinguished history of advancing forest research. Today, it connects a global community of over 15,000 scientists from approximately 630 organizations across 115 countries. IUFRO is structured into 9 permanent divisions, each focusing on specific areas of forest research, ranging from silviculture, physiology and genetics to forest policy and economics. While this webinar series covers a broad range of forestry-related topics, this webinar is organized by Division 7, or Forest Health. Division 7, or Forest Health, focuses on various aspects of forest health research, such as tree resistance mechanisms, tree diseases, and forest insect biology and control. It is organized into 2 major units, pathology and entomology. To learn more about Division 7, or IUFRO in general, please visit our website at www.iufro.org. There you'll find information on upcoming IUFRO events, opportunities to participate, and details on membership and how to get involved in our global network. I would also like to introduce you to our organization committee for this webinar. This webinar series is made possible through the dedication of outstanding forest researchers from multiple countries. A heartfelt thank you to our incredible international team. It has been a privilege to collaborate with them over the past few months for this seminar. But before we start, I would like to go through a few housekeeping items. Our moderator will leave their camera on, so it feels more lively for our speakers, but please, for the audience, leave your camera off to preserve bandwidth. You're also welcome to use the Q&A section to ask questions to our speakers. Our moderator will ask these questions to our speakers on your behalf. You're also welcome to use the chat for any other communication, such as connectivity issues, sound issues, or say hi to your colleagues. Closed captioning is also available in this meeting. You may activate them by clicking the captions button at the bottom right corner of your screen. If it is not visible yet, you may have to click first the More button, the one with 3 dots in it. Now, our speakers today come from various institutions across Asia, specializing in diverse forest ecosystems, from temperate coniferous forests to tropical rainforests. Guiding our session is our moderator, Kimberly Ann Domingo, a faculty member at President Ramon Magsaysay State University here in the Philippines. Kim, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ma'am Jessa, for the introduction and for introducing IUFRO to us. So, hello everyone. I am Kimberly Ann Domingo. I am an entomologist from the Philippines, and I will be your moderator for the session 3 of the webinar series in celebration of the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. So, this webinar is a collaboration of the following organizations. First is the International Union of Forest Research Organizations, or the IUFRO, University of the Philippines, Los Baños, President Ramon Magsaysay State University, University of Pretoria, Kenya Forestry Research Institute, and Forestry and Agricultural Biotechnology Institute. So without further ado, let us welcome our speakers, starting off with our very own Dr. Shri Rahayu. Dr. Rahayu, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So in this session, I will share my record. I will be very happy to present and share our long-term research, International Day of Women and Girls in Science, IUFRO. My name is Rahayu from Indonesia. I'm lecturer from the Faculty of Forestry, University Gadjah Mada. We have a long research about this fungus. As we know, the Uromycladium species is the typically rust that induce the gall. Yeah, we have the several species of this genus, and this fungus is native to the Australasian region, and now to infect more than 100 hosts. So, and then how about the Falcataria moluccana itself? As we know that some people in the tropical country already know about this species, but maybe from the temperate, maybe not so familiar with species. Yeah, and the native is in the eastern Indonesia, and is introduced in the some region, including in the America, Asia Pacific, and also become an invasive species in some region in Africa. So, in Indonesia itself, the Falcataria moluccana have attracted because it can produce some pulp, some veneer, and also for some making pulp, paper, veneer, plywood, furniture, and also become a shade trees on the coffee and also cacao trees. So this is the product from the Falcataria moluccana. So as I mentioned before, that this species also become very invasive in the Asia, in the Pacific island, including in Hawaii. The story of the gall rust disease on Falcataria moluccana is first detected in Philippines and Malaysia at 1993, and then also in the East Timor in 2001, and in Indonesia, particularly in Java Island in 2003. And then after that, the outbreak becomes started in the entire of the region. So the fungus not only infect the Falcataria moluccana, but also infect the acacia, including acacia species, acacia decurrens, and it has been a successful story as biological control of Acacia saligna in the Africa. So this is the sign and symptom of the gall rust disease on Falcataria moluccana, including in the seed and pod, and then also on the seedling from the early symptom until the advanced symptom that produce the gall. And as we know that if the seedling already produced the gall, it is indicated that the infection may come from the infested seed. And the symptom on the young trees in the field also can develop fastly. This is the gall with million of tenuous spores here. And this is in the major trees. You can see that the stem become very bad looking, yeah. And then the canker and the gall also destroy the stem. The The Uromycladium first identified as Uromycladium tegriano, but after that, on 2015, DOMSA and then corrected and identified using molecular tool, and the name became Uromycladium falcatarium. This girl is microcyclic grass, so this is very simple life cycle from the teliospore and then basidiospore and then become teliospore again. And this is the mode of infection from the landing teliospore and the surface of stem and then germination and become basidiospore, and then the basidiospore can direct penetration in the epidermis after 16 hours. This is the calculation of the time. So after 48 hours, all the infection, the 100% of the teliospore can infect the cells. So after that, the mycelia will covered and infected all the cell, yeah, make the this is Haustoria mother cell, and then after that will produce, yeah, the stroma, and the teliospore will telia and teliospore come from the stroma, yeah, and then the about the 3 until 7 days after gall formation, so the sporulation will start. So this is after that the gall farming will develop at least 3 until 8 weeks. So you can see that the development of the gall is very fast. So the meteorological factor related to the incident of gall disease in the tropics are foggy condition, relative humidity, and also the wind speed. But another factor, meteorological factor, are not significantly related. You can see that under foggy condition, so the incident will be increased very fast, particularly in the totally foggy condition. So and then at the 89 until 100% of the relative humidity, so we can see that the disease severity and disease incident also increase fastly. And the wind speed, when the wind speed increase, the basidiospore are more easily removed from the host surface and unsuccessful in infecting percent. So the slower wind speed will be very useful for the teliospore to germinate and produce basidiospore. So we will discuss about the general protocol for management control. There are 4 points. We have 2 minutes on the seed and the nursery in the young trees and in the major trees. So we have to select and use the healthy and uninfected seed, yeah, using early detection, yeah. Early detection from the seed is needed because we know that 80% of seedling with the seed collection from the infected seed production area will show the symptom only in 1 month old of the seedling. And then this is the healthy seed, and morphology of unhealthy seed. And then use the selected seed material from resistant or moderately resistant seed cells is very important. Yeah, because as our finding research, we selected from 11 seed cells, only 1 seed cell it's come from Ramina region, that will be to be moderately resistant. Yeah, so the incident become decrease after 7 days infection using the artificial inoculation. So, and nursery management, early detection of the symptom is very, very powerful. Yeah, because this is if we not detected that it is already infected, so it will be developed after this. Yeah, fastly, particularly in the suitable condition. So we have to remove infected seedling from the nursery, and then environmental manipulation in the nursery with reducing the very high humidity and avoid too old and too dense seedling placed in the nursery. And don't set up the nursery and in the high and elevation and the under concrete condition. So chemical control is one of the options for preventing the rust disease in the nursery. Regular spraying with protectant fungicide, it's needed in order to prevent the infection of the rust fungus in the nursery. Sanitation, including pruning, cleaning, it can be reduced the incidence of the gall rust and the development of the disease, particularly in the high elevation and under foggy conditions. So this is our trial with tar application. Tar application can be stopped the development of the gall, but only on the stem that the gall is still a little, not if the gall already big like this. And then applying endophytic induced resistance also very useful. So using a rhizobium inoculant, it can be reduced the incidence of the disease, particularly in the nursery. And then finally, we have to choose the proper area to avoid the infection, including flat topography and more open area, low elevation, preferable below 300 meter under sea level, above sea level, and in area without fog or with less foggy condition. And then monitoring regularly, intensive monitoring is needed, particularly in the risk area that altitude more than 1,000 or more than 300 meter and above sea level. So finally, we have to conduct capacity building regarding to the gall disease management and collaboration among the affected countries, monitoring the pathway and spreading among the countries, mapping the aggressiveness of the rust fungus, and sitting together to write up the updated protocol on the management of the gall rust disease and looking for biological control and other promising control available in the country. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Rahayu, for that very informative presentation. So allow me to read her credentials so we can see more of what she does. Okay, so Dr. Sri Rahayu is a professor of forest pathology at Universitas Gadjah Mada, or UGM, in Indonesia, with over 30 years of experience in teaching and research. She specializes in forest research, pathology, and protection in tropical ecosystems and currently heads UGM's Laboratory of Forest Health and Protection. Dr. Rahayu is a leading expert on diseases such as gall rust, stem rot, canker, pink disease, and root rot, and her work includes selecting disease-resistant forestry species and monitoring forest health in planted forests, agroforestry systems, and urban forests. Her research emphasizes biological control and ecosystem-based approaches to managing forest diseases. So once again, thank you, Dr. Rahayu, for your very informative presentation. So I think we have a time for one question. So allow me to read one of the comments on your presentation. So from Stuart Fraser, thanks for your talk. Thanks for your talk. It's great to see a talk on Uromycladium. Do you know if seedling infection from seed has been observed for other species of Uromycladium? Again, thanks for your talk. It's great to see a talk on Uromycladium. Do you know if seedling infection from seed has been observed for other species of Uromycladium?
Okay. I direct, yeah, now. Okay. I saw some seed already. I also observed some seed that already infected by Uromycladium. Yeah, that is including Acacia decurrens, a seed we now still conduct on Acacia decurrens, as we know that we have invasive species in near my region. That is many Acacia decurrens as invasive species, but the Gerdas also infect the seed. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, Dr. Rahayu. So for other questions, you may type them in the chat box and we will answer them later in the question and answer portion. So let's proceed to our second speaker. So our speaker is an assistant professor at the Institute of Renewable Natural Resources, College of Forestry and Natural Resources in the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. She specializes in forest-wetland interactions, biodiversity assessment in aquatic ecosystems, and natural resources management. She teaches various courses, including research methodologies in forestry and natural resources, watershed and coastal management, and with almost a decade of experience in both undergraduate and graduate education, she has been instrumental in shaping the next generation of scholars and practitioners in these critical fields. Her work also extends beyond the classroom, as she actively collaborates with private companies, government agencies, and forest-based communities to promote sustainable practices and foster resilience in natural resource management. So the title of her presentation is Forest Features in Bloom, Building Partnerships and Fostering Knowledge Exchange for Sustainable Forestry and Natural Resource Management. So we are excited to hear your presentation. Let us all welcome Ms. Keshia Tingson-Abucay.
Thank you, Ms. Domingo. And thank you for that generous introduction. I would like to share my presentation slide. Can you see my slides now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So let's start. Again, thank you for that introduction. You may call me Ma'am Kesh, and I am an assistant professor at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Okay, the title of my presentation is Forest Futures in Bloom, Building Partnerships and Fostering Knowledge Exchange for Sustainable Forestry and Natural Resources Management. For this presentation, I actually would like to share two components. One would be in my experiences in teaching forestry courses, and then another one would be on the field. So this is one of our research. This is a case study, which is we will talk about engagement of community in Makayan Tingkit. Okay, and also I would like to share our lessons learned and also to summarize the talk. I will be giving just a short summary. Okay, let's start. Okay, so I would like to give importance on Philippine forest. Um, According to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, this is the main agency that manages and oversees the forest and our natural resources here in the Philippines. And according to their 2020 report, the forest cover of the Philippines is around 7.2 million hectares, and 31% of that is closed forest, 65% is open forest, and 4.3% are mangrove forest. And because of our forest, we know that forests are very important because it provides a number of ecosystem services. One of it is habitat, provision of habitat for biodiversity, and also for us, different provisioning services, cultural, and even regulating or supporting services. So these our forests, we would like to manage and continue managing it, how to balance development and conservation, and the importance of education in this role. And for us, here in the University of the Philippines, I teach at the College of Forestry and Natural Resources. Most of my students are undergraduate students in BS in Forestry, and I also teach graduate students. And we know that in teaching, it is very important that we give information about how to manage our forests accordingly. And our college aims to produce a world-class leaders in education, science, and responsible management of tropical forests, natural resources, and the environment. And I would like to share the subjects that I teach. And in the undergraduate subject that I teach are research methods in forestry and natural resources, watershed management, introduction to forest and forestry. And these are the graduate courses that I handle. Perspectives and approaches to natural resources conservation, coastal economic dynamics, and management. And this is the picture of our students in watershed management. These are forestry students, wherein not only they are taught in basics of forestry, but also advanced courses. Of course, the management unit is a watershed. That's a big part of our country, the management, the watersheds. And here they are doing stream flow exercise, field exercise, and water quality. And they actually compute the stream flow manually in the field. And this is in Mount Makiling Forest Reserve. And now they are in the weather station. Not only they are learning about forest, but also how to connect the weather patterns and climate data in their forest data, and how to manage the forest. And this is another photo of it. And a lot of courses that we teach make the forestry students as a well-rounded professionals. And we make sure that they are ready after they graduate. They will become licensed foresters. And whenever they would like to venture, they are capable of managing our natural resources. And our graduates become professionals in international organizations, and also, of course, here in the Philippines, national government agencies, local government units, academic institutions, private companies, non-governmental organizations, and local communities. And here are the information about our college and our institute. So I am presenting it on the slide, the website, and the email. Okay, you can reach us through this in contact details. Okay, so another interesting work of ours would be a research to serve, to give information to the community as well as our clients in the private companies. So this is a case study in Benguet, Philippines. So not only we provide knowledge in the university, but also we extend our service to the community. Okay, so the title of the project is Environmental Stewardship Through Watershed Conservation Towards Sustainable and Carbon Neutral Ecosystem in Mangkayan, Benguet Province. And mainly this is to investigate the biodiversity resources in Gangsa watershed. And this is a photo of the mountainous ecosystem because Benguet is located at Luzon Island, so at the upper part of the Philippines. And this project aims to assess the biodiversity as well as to give training and capacity building for participatory biodiversity assessment. And this was attended by stakeholders from the local government units, local communities, public school teachers, principals, and staff of a private mining company. And before the fieldwork, the participants were given a short training on participatory biodiversity assessment. And just to get a feel of it, I would like to share with you a number of photos. Okay, so this is the briefing that we did before the field work. So these are high school teachers and also members of the local government units. And they study and they share their indigenous ecological knowledge of their biodiversity resources, especially in plants and wildlife. And now they were trained how to create transects in the field and how to measure diameter at breast height of the trees and how to do riparian assessment. And this they are being trained how to use the insect net. And now this is their experience on the field. So I was able to teach them how to use the plankton net and how to get samples from rivers and wetlands. And these are their photos after they did their field work. These are the photos and results of the biodiversity assessment. Okay, I just would like to give you photos and not the detail. The fungi, the insects, and also the wildlife and aquatic resources. And after the biodiversity data was assessed and analyzed, the results of this activity were presented to high school students, principals, and teachers. And we created different posters and also herbarium for the sample. And after the training, they were given certificates. And because of they were very happy to attend this training, and because of that, they agreed to sign the commitment signing that they promise to protect and conserve Gangsa watershed. That's where their community is located. And if you see there are lots of stakeholders, and also they signed the agreement. And this is the lessons that we learned in Mangkayan Benguet. So the participants gained more appreciation of their biodiversity and the resources that they have in their forests and community, and also in their watershed. And again, they agreed to commit in protecting, conserving biodiversity within Gangsa watershed. And because of that, they shared with us that this activity, especially the knowledge sharing among them, enhanced the collaboration. They were able to make new friends and uh, colleagues, and they have this deeper sense of ownership. And they also discussed the conservation issues and the difficulties that they were having, and they were able to integrate their ecological knowledge, their traditional ecological knowledge, with scientific approaches, thus involving them in crafting the management plan. So in summary, to conserve the forest, knowledge sharing in forest management is vital for conservation of forests. And lastly, by fostering a culture of shared knowledge, stakeholders can work together more effectively to achieve conservation goals. And I would just like, that's the end of my presentation. And just a few acknowledgements. I would like to acknowledge our University of the Philippines, Los Baños, our, our College of Forestry and Natural Resources, the institute where I work, so Institute of Renewable Natural Resources, and also the fund for this project came from Lepanto Consolidated Mining Company, and also implemented in UPLB Foundation Incorporated, and also big thanks to our research team headed by Dr. Nelson Pampolina, together with our colleagues, Dr. Alviola, Dr. Yap, Ma'am Anarna, Ma'am Papa, Miss Michelle Gamboa, Forester Michelle Gamboa, Forester Berna Daipan, Miss Kimberly Ann Domingo, our research associate, Erwin Tabaco, Mary Reyes, Joselito Sarmiento, and Eliza Tunin. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Ma'am Kesh, for that very inspiring talk. So actually, it brings back memories to me as Ma'am Kesh and I have worked on that project together. So I see some students in the audience. So I would like to ask, as a researcher, what advice can you give to our youth aspiring to be scientists?
Thank you for that wonderful question. For me, I remember way back in my college days that I really want to work with science. And I'm not that a very good student. However, that passion, I kept it alive, and my dream to work in the university, I tried to make it as a reality of mine, and I build my name, and I worked with professionals, and also uh, especially foresters, biologists. I remember all their I kept in mind, or I remember all their teachings and their advices. And whenever I fail at my work, I just try again. And do not give up on your dreams, and be passionate in science.
Thank you, Ma'am Kesh. So a reminder to our students. So based on what Ma'am Kesh said, do not give up, and do not give up on your dreams, and you can always try again. Okay. So thank you, Ma'am Kesh. So for more questions, you can just type them in our comment box, and we will try to answer them in the question and answer portion later. So let's proceed to our program. For our third speaker, we have Dr. Weiye Wang, which is an associate professor at Renmin University, China. She is a conservation social scientist with a range of research interests around the central theme of biodiversity conservation and its relationship with society. Her work relies primarily on fieldworks, and in fact, she has conducted fieldworks in over 70 protected areas across China. Her research has been supported by numerous grants from the National Key Research and Development Program of China to the National Natural Science Foundation of China, French Development Agency, and the RUFOR Foundation. Her work has been published in World Development, Land Use Policy, Forest Policy and Economics, and Journal of Contemporary China, among others. Dr. Wang holds her PhD and MS from the University of British Columbia in Canada and BM in Rural Development from Renmin University of China. So Dr. Wang will talk about the protected area management in China. So we are looking forward to your presentation, Dr. Wang.
Hello. It's my honor to have this chance to communicate with lots of audience about my research. It's about protected areas management in China. Okay. Here in this map, I show you the protected areas on the map. Here we can see there are some very big ones in the western part in China, some national parks and nature reserves. There are also other types, such as all those different parks, desert park, forest park, wetland park, geology park. All those are protected areas in China. So it's kind of a complex system.
Dr. Wang, may I interrupt you for a while? It seems like your screen is not in presentation mode.
Can you see the map right now?
Yes.
But in this way, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's the
Yeah,
map, right?
okay.
Okay, that's good. Now I turn to next slide. Can you still see it?
No, the map is still flashing.
Then I will use this mode. It's you can see it right now, right?
Yes.
Management problems.
Yes.
Okay, just let me use this one. However, we are facing some management problems in protected areas. I think it's also in many other countries have the same problems. One is land tenure. In China, lots of protected area is actually the land tenure is collective owned, which means the land is owned by local village. So if the state want to protect the land, local villagers they may not want to do that. Another issue is the conflicts between development and the biodiversity conservation. That's because lots of local people who lives within a protected areas, they are heavily reliant on natural resources, and usually they are the poor. So it's hard for ask them to give up their livelihoods just for biodiversity conservation. The third one is local protectionism, which means local governments, they have very strong incentive to develop instead of biodiversity conservation. Another one is fragmented governance. I will show you a picture of it. In this picture, a slide, we can see the pheasants. Those are kind of protected animals in China. And in this picture, you can see lots of pheasants there in the farmland. In the past, if the pheasants occurred in farmland, then that's the Department of Agriculture who has the responsibility to protect those animals. If the pheasants walked into the forest, then that's the Department of Forestry have the responsibility to take care of those wild animals. If they walk into wetland, then that's the Department of Wetland Management have the responsibility to take care of them. So you can see the fragmented governance system. Now, the question is, we want to know what's the barriers of effective biodiversity conservation management and how to overcome it. So in order to do that, we use IUCN WDPA Management Effectiveness Framework, which including to evaluate the protected areas, which including the design planning, also the input process, and then to see the outcome and the output. In a protected area, which is I use Fujian province as a case. Fujian province is here on the map, the blue parts. We visited all the protected areas in Fujian province, and then we found that 73% of protected areas in Fujian, the land are actually owned by local communities. Only 27% land is owned by the state. So if we ask, do current protected areas include areas that should not be covered? The answer is also yes, because for protected areas in China, they have different levels, such as county level protected area, city level protected area, and national level protected area. If you want it has a higher level, such as a national level, then the area of a protected the area needs to be at least 10,000 ha. So some protected area, they just enlarge their area in order to get a higher level. So improvement is needed in scientific and systematic planning and design. In the planning state. For the inputs and the process, we use a protected area in the Yellow River Basin as a case. So we visit totally 49 nature reserves in the Yellow River Basin, and we found there are lots of staffing issues, including a huge difference between different protected area. In this chart, you could see that in one protected area, there are only 4 staffs work there. However, in another one, they have almost 100 people works there. Most of them are forest workers. In the past, they log forest, but after it become protected area, they transferred as a ranger. But anyway, the number is a lot. So there is a huge difference among the stuffs. It's very similar in the funding issue. In the funding inputs, we could find a huge difference. This one, we can see it still in the Yellow River Basin. In the total 49 nature reserves, we found that one nature reserve, it received only 37,000 US dollar in the past 3 years in total. However, another one, it received 143 million US dollars in the past 3 years. So there is a huge difference, and also some unreasonable capital structure issues in the funding allocation process. Another one is about the outcomes and outputs. For the outputs, we could see that there are actually some insufficient services. For example, for protected area or national park, there is one very important function is environmental education. However, in most protected areas in China, there is a lack of education services. Another one is about conservation monitoring and the results. Many protected areas, they do not have the monitoring capacity. So they have to ask research institutions or some third institution to help. In order to solve all those issues, not all, at least a part of the issues, in 2017, there is an action in China called Green Shield Action. It's a campaign-style environmental inspection. It's centralized authority to prevent illegal activities within protected areas. how they do it is, firstly, they use satellite data to see the land use change. If they find some land use change in protected areas, because usually in protected areas, land is not allowed to change, then they call it a problem spot. They send all the problem spot to the local government and give them a limited time, ask them to change it back. So it's actually a very effective way to end all the illegal activities within nature reserves. We use Fujian province as an example. In 2017, there are 1,300 problem points. However, to the end of 2019, there are less than 20 problem points exist. Another issue we mentioned earlier is about fragmented governance. In the past, protected area was managed by different departments. For example, if it's a geological part, it's managed by the Ministry of Land and Resources. If it's an ocean protected, it's managed by the State Oceanic Administration. If it's forest-based protected area, is managed by the State Forestry Administration. However, in 2008, there is an administration reform in China. So after the reform, they merged all those different parts managing protected areas into State Forestry and Grassland Administration. It's also called National Park Administration. So all the protected area right now is managed by this administration. So in conclusion, we would like to say problems in protected areas in China is complex, relating with local livelihoods, governance system, different situations in different places. Measures have been taken to deal with those conflicts, but of course, there's still some issues remain. So there's still a long way to go. Some issues I mentioned here in today's presentation is actually could be found in a couple of my papers. So if you have any other questions, you are welcome to contact me. Here is my email. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Wang, for that very detailed presentation. So we have one question for you in the comment section. What are the methods in order to identify a forest area as protected area? Should there be communities living within these areas? How does the government resolve such conflicts of management? Again, what are the methods in order to identify a forest area as protected area? And should there be communities living within these areas? How does the government resolve such conflicts of management?
This is a very, very good and important question. And as I think it's also a very important question in many other countries. First one, how to identify a protected area. First, it's actually more like a expert knowledge-based selection, usually based on some ecologists and other experts' knowledge. They will nominate a few areas to into the protected area list. However, it's a bottom-up process, which means the local government, they need to agree. So they need to submit application from the central government. However, do you remember when I mentioned the issues? I mentioned that local government, they usually have very strong incentives for development, not biological conservation. So to be honest, some area is actually should be a protected area, but it's not right now. That's because the local government, they don't want to put it in the protected area list. But I would like to see most for the most important biodiversity hotspots in China has already been included in the protected area system. We have right now totally 18% as national parks, nature reserves, and 30% in totally protected areas, including all those parks and some community-based protected area. The second question is how to solve those conflicts among communities and biodiversity conservation. As I know, in some region, this issue is not solved very well. However, the important thing is, as you may know, in the past 30 years, the economic in China increased a lot. So lots of rural people, they moved to cities to live, which reduced a lot of the pressure in protected areas, in the villages in protected areas. And another one is because even for villagers, their income is more and more reliant on working salaries, not agriculture. So that's also reduce the pressure of the conflicts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your answers. And we hope to hear more of the discussion later in the question and answer portion. Okay,
Sure.
let's proceed to our next presenter. So our fourth presenter is a licensed forester and holds a full professor rank in the College of Forestry and Environmental Science at Visayas State University, Leyte in the Philippines. She has been in academia for 22 years, teaching silviculture, agroforestry, and tree physiology. Aside from mentoring her students, she is also active in conducting research on topics related to biodiversity, carbon storage, and sequestration assessment of various land uses and tree-based systems in the Philippines. In 2016 to 2019, she served as project coordinator for a project funded by the Thuren Institute in Germany on landscape forestry in the tropics. Presently, she is doing another project on nature-based solution with the Thunen University and funded by the Velox Foundation in Switzerland. She has also held various administrative positions at Visayas State University, which includes Department Chairperson of the Department of Forest Science and the Dean of the College of Forestry and Environmental Science from 2012 to 2015. The title of her presentation is Restoring Forests Using Native Trees in the Philippines, Challenges and Opportunities. So let us all welcome Dr. Renezita Come.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Is my presentation visible and my audio as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. So, good afternoon here in the Philippines. Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank IUFRO for inviting me to become one of the speakers for this very important event wherein we celebrate the success or women in general and girls doing science, no? So I would like to thank everyone for sparing your time here and to listen to my presentation. So this is about restoring forests using native trees in the Philippines, some challenges and opportunities. Okay, for the outline of my presentation, I would like to share with you some status of the Philippine forest where we are in right now, the history of reforestation in our country, strategies to achieve the 2030 SDG 15 targets, programs to restore degraded forests, restoring forests using native trees, challenges and opportunities and moving forward, and future scenarios in achieving sustainable forests. So Philippines is an archipelago, as we all know. It is one of the mega diverse countries containing 2/3 of the Earth's biodiversity. It is home to 70 to 80% of the world's plants and animal species, and we are very fortunate to be very high in terms of the endemism of the species that can be found in our country. However, our country is also one of the biodiversity hotspots. It is also very important and a home to 12 to 15 million people in the upland. This is according to our NCIP, or the National Council for Indigenous People. So to date, the Philippine forest cover is 7.22 million hectares of forest. So basically, that is like 1/4 of the total land area of the Philippines, which is forested. However, a large portion of that one are planted forest. So I'm showing you this land use change dynamics. So this is about the agricultural expansion. It has transformed and fragmented forest habitats, which this has become a very alarming rates, resulting in mosaic landscapes with varying levels of tree cover and agricultural units. So this schematic diagram is a simplified way of looking at the mosaic landscapes undergoing processes of land use change, taking into account the decreasing forest, as you see from this green part here, going to the orange part, which is the secondary forest. This means that there's a decreasing forest cover and increasing agricultural land uses, which is depicted by the yellow color here in this mosaic. So as you move across this gradient area of natural vegetation, this largely decreases the patches of secondary forests and agroforestry systems emerge. So this is what you can see in the last picture here. And many of this area is now it's not only in the Philippines where we can see a lot of this land use change, and most of these are being cultivated, mostly monoculture, for instance, like monoculture of corn or oil palm. And in the case of the Philippines, we have the coconut palms, the coconut plantations. So in terms of the history of reforestation in the Philippines, we have long been reforesting many of our degraded forests. In fact, it's over 100 years already. This is due to the massive loss of the forest cover due to logging, upland migration, and agricultural expansion. The common perception of this, while we are doing it for a long period of time already, that there is a failure and little to see on the ground. However, in the recent years, so we have seen a notable progress in forest restoration over the past decades. Though challenges still persist due to historical deforestation, but we can see that our forest areas are slowly increasing in terms of its forest cover because of the different programs initiated by our government. So later, I'm gonna tell you about those strategies that have been done by our government so far and is continuously doing. So, but first I would like to show you as well this cost of restoration. This picture is showing us how costly to restore many of the degraded areas. So as you can see, from the first picture, the more degraded the area is, then the more expensive it is. And then when you see here in the brushland areas, you can see that, well, of course, it's still expensive, but as compared to the degraded areas, but you can see in terms of the the forest gaps when we recover or restore many of these areas wherein we still have intact or patches of forest where we can find regenerations to start with the restoration. It is comparatively lesser in terms of the input that we're going to put in terms of restoring the areas. If I may, I would like to give you a figure on how expensive it is to restore degraded areas. So approximately we're going to spend like 13,000 pesos or roughly 230 US dollars to restore a hectare of degraded area or if we want to reforest or restore. So if our target is about to restore or reforest about 1 million hectares, so that would be roughly around 217 million US dollars that we're going to spend for that restoration. So that is how expensive it is. So the Philippines has committed to address the Sustainable Development Goal number 15. Our forest cover baseline, wherein we have committed is based on the 2015, which is 23.4%. So our target in 2030 is to increase that by 28.5%. That is an additional increase by 1.53 million hectares. So, so far, based on the report, we have already achieved this target. However, we are still we want to increase this. That's according to the recent declaration of our government that we want to achieve this more, at least to, this is quite ambitious, although ambitious by reaching up to 10 million hectares. But so that's the target. So these are the strategies that we are doing in our country in order to achieve that target. So we have implemented in 2011 until 2016 the National Greening Program, and has been enhanced or expanded up to 2028 by means of planting more trees and emphasizing the use of native trees in different areas, but of course it depends on the area. Because we are also including mangrove areas, and also planting some fruit trees under this program by the government. So to give you a history on what are the different strategies that the government is doing, we have this national forestation program. This is a massive reforestation activity that we did in 1986. However, many of under this program, we are using exotic species. So that is based on record. So we also have the family community approaches to reforestation, wherein the family are involved in tree planting and restoring, especially in the nearby or in their communities. So we also did some tree farming approach, different terminologies, but almost similar objective, which is to regreen or to plant more trees. We have smallholder forestry. This is by means of introducing trees in the farm with they're saying how small is small in the whole smallholder forestry. They're saying it's less than 5 hectares. But of course, it depends on the land, because in many areas in the Philippines, mostly hold the what do you call that? They're not the owner, but they're just the claimants, or the somebody owned, or most of these areas are owned by the government. Okay, so we also have introduced in the early 90s what we call as the rainforestation approach to reforestation, which I will be talking about this in detail so later. We also have the community-based forest management, the National Greening Program, and the ENGP, like what I've mentioned already earlier. We also have the forest landscape restoration, and just now it is called, now we have the nature-based solutions. Okay, so in terms of the rainforestation approach, what is this term? So this has been coined in the early 1990s in our university, the Visayas State University, through the leadership of our former president, Dr. Pasencio P. Milan. Actually, the project was not intentionally to do more of or more research on native trees. That was not the intention. However, there was a typhoon that made them realize how the area planted with exotic species had been, devastated, or many of the trees were toppled down, and so they thought of how about introducing native trees, and so that started that idea of using the native trees instead of exotic species. So this came along. It's all a long way, because of the initiatives and the different the interests, and also different stakeholders who have been involved, and also being presently involved also in looking at the importance of the native trees and in using them in the reforestation activities in the country. In fact, this has a memorandum circular by the Department of Environment and Natural Resources in 2004 to use native trees in doing reforestation. So this is one of the project sites that we have. We continuously promoting the use of native trees. This is academe-led. And then many of our projects, especially on restoration, emphasize more on the use of the reforestation or rainforestation approach to reforestation. Specifically here, but it's not only here in the Visayas, or in part where the Visayas State University is located. It's being promoted countrywide. Okay, so first is, I think many of you knows this already, but just to emphasize some of the importance of why do we need to use native trees. Of course, one advantage of that is the very high endemism and diversity of the Philippine forest, like what I've mentioned. So we have to take advantage of that, even although they're already, many of these are in patches already. So we have to take advantage of the remaining forests that we have, and take this tree species, the native species, no? Native trees will minimize the pressure on remaining natural forests, especially if we're going to plant them in plantations, of course, because there we can get high quality timber. Another thing is avoiding the loss of many important native tree species, as well as the related or the associated what do you call that, fauna, no? And the native forests are home to many animals by providing food, water, and air. And also it symbolizes our own identity, because like, again, I'm going to mention that many of the tree species that we have in our country are not you cannot find them anywhere else, no? But only here in our country. So another thing is the realization on the importance of shrinking Philippine forest in connection with traditional and cultural values. So still, our culture will be protected when we protect our Philippine forests as well. So native trees also grow well in local soil and climate conditions. So with that, and I think I still missed some very important information why there's really a need to use the native trees when we do reforestation activities. So I would like to share with you example of what are the things that we have been doing so far in terms of investigating the importance, or how important using native trees specifically in restoring many of our degraded areas. So like what I've said, many of these rainforestation areas are already over 20 years old. So meaning these are the planted forests are already mature. So we have investigated the stomatal conductance and also the subflow measurements from these forests, and uh, we have seen a significant differences in terms of the stomatal conductance of these trees, and also the sap flow, no, the water use of these species, which depends on the kind of species and also the biomass and also the diameter at breast height. So we have found that there are species, especially that those that belong to the native species, are quite very conservative in using the water, no, and also they have lesser stomatal conductance, or the release of water from their stomata. So, and also similar with how they perform in terms of the water use in their using the sap flow. So that means that there are species specifically the towards the slow growing and the more the species, the native species which have um dense wood, they conserve more water in their body. So what does it mean? So that is a very crucial, very important in terms of the exchanges of this oxygen and water, no, that the transpiration. So we can use this information, selecting the correct or the proper appropriate species to be used, especially in degraded areas. For instance, if the area lacks or has a very limited supply of water, especially the groundwater, no, you can select the appropriate species based on this kind of research that we are doing. And I think many, it's not only in our university, they in some other universities also, they also have this kind of research, which is again very important in terms of restoring degraded forests. So how do we do that in the university? So we are conducting trainings at the national level, regional, and also local. So in fact, we have I think in 2011 we have trained the managers of the watershed areas. They are under the National Power Corporation. So on how to do rainforestation, no? Rainforestation approach to reforestation. So like in this picture, you can see how we do the collection of wildlings. No, instead of the seeds, we can also collect wildlings and put them in the chamber, and then we do some the usual silvicultural ways on how we could raise quality seedlings. So we are emphasizing that because one of the reasons why planting native trees is not popular earlier or before is due to the lack of planting material. So that's what they are claiming. So that is the challenge, one of the challenges. So, however, if we can still see that, if we can still track where these mother trees are located and where these wildlings are located, we can take advantage of that and put them in the nursery until these planting materials are ready for restoration. We also train farmers, students, members of the people's organization, and also we explain to them the importance of using native trees. And also I failed to mention earlier, based on the research that we have conducted, that the functional or the ecosystem or the functional ability in terms of restoring, mimicking the natural forest is almost similar, no, when you do the rainforestation, almost similar to a natural forest, leading to that in terms of like what I mentioned, the stomatal conductance, the different the rest. Okay, so again, I would like to mention about the result of the ENGP. This works on the area. This one, unlike before, no, that we are using exotic species, now is we are also considering, using a lot of native trees in doing ENGP. So we have planted 2 million hectares. That's around 1.7 billion seedlings from 2011 to 2020 already. The target is to cover 7.1 million hectares of unproductive, denuded, and degraded forest lands nationwide. So based on this graph, we still have a lot, no, to reforest. In fact, 51% according to DENR 2020. So the question now is, how are we going to reforest these areas, and do we have, enough resources in doing that? So later I'm gonna mention how we could restore many of these areas. So again, another project which I would like to share with you is the landscape forestry in the Tropics project, which is funded by German government. So just a quick mention about the results or findings of this, because this is very important, this project, because we're trying to analyze or to dig deeper what could be the possible reason why or what could be the possible strategies that we can use or policies that we could create based on the research that we are doing. So that is our ultimate goal in this. So and also based on this is the science based. So in order for us to achieve a more successful and sustainable way of restoring forests, we need to have a good background, a good basis, no, on how we could or plan in order to plan or to improve our reforestation activities or initiatives. So we found out based on this research that we have many of the inconsistent boundaries in our country. So that is a problem actually if you're gonna decide in terms of decision making. So which land belongs to or to what municipality. So there's a conflict there in terms of decision making and the political some political issues on which program are we gonna follow, no. So that's, I think, one of the problems that we have found out. So we also have measured the land use or the carbon storage of the different land uses that in the study site. So we found a very high carbon stocks in tons per hectare of in secondary forest compared to timber plantations, and of course lower in coconut plantations and agroforestry systems. So this one is a very good indication that we really need to bring back many of these secondary forests if we want to restore or to get higher storage of carbon, higher storage of carbon. And then based on the findings also, we have predicted or looked at the expected land use change trends. Okay, so what's going to happen if we are just going to do the business as usual and we will not do something, no, to improve the management of many of our forests. So what we found out is that the secondary forest will continue to decline, no, because there will be an expansion of cropping areas like kaingin, permanent, which will become permanent, and conversion to coconut plantation, specifically in Leyte. So we found out that the road development could also contribute in the decline or decrease in the secondary forest that we have. So also the agricultural areas, there will be more conversion to coconut plantations, no, and also agroforestry systems. So again, no, based on the land use change, so we will be, instead of increasing the forest cover, this might lead to a lesser to a land use change, which has a lesser carbon storage and lesser ecosystem functioning. So we don't want that. So another thing is, of course, the grassland can be converted to coconut plantation and other monoculture agricultural crops. So some challenges which I can share with you based on our experience and projects and what we have observed in the field. One of the challenges is the sources of quality planting materials. So where are we going to get the planting materials, especially of the native trees, no, native species? But I would like to mention here the group of from the EDC, the Energy Development Corporation, led by Dr. Pat Malabrigo, that they have been doing an excellent job in collecting, many of the quality planting materials, specifically native trees, in order to use it to study these trees, no. And then we also need some science-based researches, like what I have mentioned, to guide reforestation using native trees. For instance, what would be the appropriate species to match the site? We also have some challenge specifically in our country, like this has been mentioned in the earlier presentation, that land use tenure is an issue. Also addressing the root causes like poverty, livelihood opportunities, especially in the upland. We need to give also some importance or priority to for the community to become climate resilient, and also the need for a community-based restoration. So for the potential risk, we have identified that the inconsistencies in administrative boundaries could have a higher risk of losing ownership on forest management, patrolling, and land use planning. And also the core forest zones remain often intact. However, we have noticed that many of the small to medium-sized trees cover loss are detected in secondary forest and woody shrublands. And many of these tree covers lost due to strong typhoons, both both of course from the natural events and man-made activities. So there's also a large difference in carbon stocks between forest and non-forested areas, as indicated that continuous land use conversion leads to habitat fragmentation and further decline in ecosystem services. Some opportunities, however, have been mentioned. In fact, based on the data, there has been an increase in employment because of the implementation of the National Greening Program. And also, this has resulted to an increase in forest cover and the opportunity to collaborate with other projects, like what I've mentioned, through different international projects, which could lead towards sustainable forest recovery. These are some of the opportunities that we could take into account, and also, favoring the use of native trees and looking at the potential in terms of using these species to have a more sustainable forest recovery. So for the future scenarios, what do we have? So the government policies, both regulative, the command and control, they should be the one leading us, in terms of the policies, because otherwise, if they are not going to lead us, because they're supposed to be the one in control in implementing many of the activities, and through their policies also, no, to become, so that this will be more robust or more successful also on the ground. And economically, we should also give some incentive base, specifically to address the poverty and the problem in the livelihood and livelihood opportunities for our communities, in order for us to achieve the success in restoring many of the degraded areas. So some future scenarios, perhaps, I mean, we are already seeing this on the ground, the citizen science approaches in restoring many of the degraded area, and also using modeling or spatial decision support system, with emphasis on reforestation or using native trees. We could also explore the potential of artificial intelligence. For instance, we could use this to locate potential crop trees or sources of planting materials, in order for us to determine, especially the quality or genetically superior planting materials that can be used in restoring degraded forests in the country. So that's all. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that very detailed and interesting presentation. So may we next proceed to our last speaker. So our speaker is a forester with 23 years of experience in technology transfer and the promotion of improved tree plantation practices and as the head of the Agroforestry Research Development and Extension Center under the Ecosystems Research and Development Bureau, or ERDB, of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources in the Philippines. She leads initiatives to enhance agroforestry systems in community-based forest management, or CBFM sites. With a master's degree in public management, specializing in rural development, from the Development Academy of the Philippines, she integrates public management principles with rural development efforts to foster ecological resilience and sustainable food production. She oversees the project Improving Agroforestry Systems and Strategies in CBFM sites to maintain ecological balance between ecological resilience and enhanced food production. This aims to harmonize environmental conservation with socio-economic benefits for forest-dependent communities. Known for a track record in leading extension programs, she continues to champion sustainable forestry practices through dedicated leadership and innovative strategies. So the title of her presentation is Improving Agroforestry Systems and Strategies in CBFM Sites to Maintain Ecological Balance. Let us all welcome Forester Joan Gilbero.
Hello, good afternoon. Okay, good afternoon. I'm Joan Gilbero from the Philippines. So just to ensure the smooth presentation, I have a pre-recorded the presentation due to occasional internet fluctuations in the area. But before it will be played, and as I would be requesting the organizers, I would like to thank IUFRO for this opportunity. And I want to acknowledge also the dedication of my RDEC team. They are joining us right now to support me and, of course, to celebrate with us. And, of course, Director Lormelin Claudio, of the Director of ERDB. And lastly, I want also to mention Dr. Jessa Ata of UPLB for her guidance. So my request from the organizer to kindly play the recording. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues and distinguished guests, isang makakalikasang hapon po sa ating lahat. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Forester Joan Gilbero from the Philippines. Currently, I am the Center Head of Agroforestry Research, Development and Extension Center, or RDEC. It is an honor to have been invited as one of the speakers in this event. As a forester and as a center head, especially as we gather to celebrate the great contributions of women and girls in science. Women in the Philippines have made significant strides towards empowerment, although challenges remain. Empowerment is evident in various aspects of our lives, such as education, politics, and the workforce. As a woman leading the center, I'm proud to be part of this progress, contributing to the ongoing transformation in our society. In my 1 year as the center head, I'm given the privilege of leading our current project entitled Improving Agroforestry Systems and Strategies in CBFM sites to maintain ecological balance, in which our women researchers have been giving their great contributions. And I will be presenting it to you today. But before that, please let me share a brief overview of our center. The Agroforestry Research and Development Center, or RDEC, is a research center under the Ecosystems Research and Development Bureau, which is the research arm of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DNR, in the Philippines. In 2015, during the implementation of the DNR rationalization, all the regional research counterparts in the Philippines were clustered according to areas of excellence. In the Southern Mindanao region, the Ecosystems Research and Development Services under Regions 11 and 12 were clustered to compose RDEC. To focus on the importance and impact of agroforestry, aside from strengthening local economies, reducing climate pressures, and improving soil quality and biodiversity. So why agroforestry in CBFM sites? Agroforestry plays a crucial role in integrating trees with crops and livestock, enhancing biodiversity, water retention, and soil fertility, and in combating environmental challenges like deforestation and soil erosion in CBFM. Through this project, we will be able to implement agroforestry systems that are designed not just to improve the livelihoods of local farmers, but to restore the ecological balance. Women are identified as the primary stewards of land and resources in rural areas, managing the crops, forest products, and water. Our project's approach is gender sensitive, ensuring that women are involved in decision-making from planning to implementation. Our unique perspectives can highlight areas that might otherwise be overlooked, especially when addressing issues affecting families, communities, and society. Research has shown that organizations and communities with gender diverse leadership are often more successful, innovative, and efficient. Empowering women to participate in decision-making helps promote gender equality and ensures that policies and plans are representative of the population they serve. And I'm proud as a woman to work alongside so many brilliant women who are not only shaping the future of agroforestry, but also contributing to global discussions on climate change, conservation, and sustainable development. For the project overview, this is a 3-year project that focuses on improving agroforestry systems within community-based forest management, or CBFM sites, to promote ecological balance. We have 3 project sites, one in Bukidnon, in Davao del Sur, and in Agusan del Sur, all in Mindanao, the southern part of the country. This project has been a cornerstone of our efforts to create sustainable, science-based solutions that address both environmental challenges and community needs. It focuses on integrating forestry or agroforestry systems within CBFM sites, or the areas that are essential for conserving our forests while supporting the livelihood of local communities. The following are the research objectives. Number 1, to assess the existing agroforestry systems relative to the biological, physical, socioeconomic, and institutional characteristics, including its risk and vulnerabilities within CBFM areas in Mindanao. Second, to optimize agroforestry systems through the integration of innovative practices to enhance productivity within CBFM areas. And third, to facilitate the seamless transfer of agroforestry systems practices to enhance sustainability and foster long-term environmental and economic resilience. So the following are the activities that were already conducted. We've conducted coordination meetings, the stakeholders profiling and analysis, the land capability map generation, biodiversity status determination, soil and water resources, physicochemical assessment, carbon stock assessment, major ecosystem services valuation, socio-demographic and economic assessment, the existing market and post-harvest facility survey analysis, natural hazard and vulnerability assessment, pest and diseases vulnerability assessment, determination of agroforestry species suitability, and agroforestry nurseries established, enhanced, and planting stock production. For the key findings, for agroforestry land suitability, this is conducting e-outcomes in CBFM areas essential for identifying suitable land uses that balance environmental conservation and sustainable livelihoods for the local communities. The land across Kiblawan in Loreto and Kitingting in Bukidnon is generally classified as Class 2, moderately suitable for agroforestry with various constraints like soil amendments, erosion control, and water management needed, while some areas face severe limitations such as poor soil, erosion, and drainage issues, requiring focused intervention for long-term sustainability. In Kiblawan, Loreto, and Kitingting, Bukidnon, it is recommended that agroforestry species, which includes resilient trees like Nara, Ipil, and Mango, along with horticultural crops like mango, guava, and banana, and vegetables such as potato and cabbage, tailored to address site-specific challenges like soil limitations, drainage issues, and slope stabilization needs. For flora biodiversity assessment, the 3 agroforestry sites show varying biodiversity profiles, with Parbok in Davao del Sur exhibiting moderate biodiversity with an even species distribution, while the PO in Agusan del Sur showcasing high species richness and diversity across all layers, and the one in Bukidnon showing dominance of economically driven introduced species leading to lower biodiversity and uneven distribution. For the avifauna biodiversity assessment, the bird population in Davao del Sur and in Kitingting, Bukidnon vary in species richness and diversity, with the one in Davao del Sur supporting insectivores in diverse habitats, while the PO in Loreto hosting a high diversity of species, including vulnerable ones, and ISPAC in Bukidnon showing moderate diversity with birds playing key ecological roles like pest control and seed dispersal. In terms of tree-crop ratio, the Parbok MPC in Davao del Sur demonstrates a nearly balanced tree-crop ratio, that's 52:48, supporting ecological sustainability, while Wakday in Loreto also achieves an optimal balance of 49:51, but faces challenges with waterlogging and pest management, and ISPAC in Bukidnon heavily prioritizes crops, that's 1:99, leading ecological instability and reduced sustainability. In terms of pests and diseases monitoring, in Kiblawan, Loreto, and Kitingting in Bukidnon, major diseases such as mango anthracnose, cacao black pod rot, and rubber leaf fall diseases are causing significant crop losses, while pest issues like lace bugs and coconut rhinoceros beetles exacerbate yield stress, with some beneficial insects aiding natural pest control in Loreto, Agusan del Sur. In terms of soil and water assessment results, the soils in Kiblawan, Loreto and Damulog in Bukidnon vary in fertility and structures, with Kiblawan in Davao del Sur showing calcareous, shallow soils prone to phosphorus fixation and waterlogging. Loreto and Agusan del Sur facing low fertility and poor pH buffering, and Damulog in Bukidnon having well-developed soils with high organic matter, all suitable for type C water use, with specific management strategies needed to enhance agroforestry potential. As to vulnerability assessment, Parboth in Kiblawan in Davao del Sur faces high landslide and erosion vulnerabilities with moderate to high flood risks, despite having high adaptive capacity, while Wapday in Loreto is largely protected from landslides and erosion but faces significant flood risk, and Ispak in Damulog in Bukidnon has moderate vulnerabilities to landslides, erosion, flooding with adaptive capacity varying across risk. The socioeconomic assessment in CBFM areas help also understand community needs and livelihoods, ensuring sustainable development and effective resource management. The socio-demographic profile of CBFM members, of which 65% are female and 35% are male. So in terms of knowledge and practices, while 89% have heard of agroforestry, only 5% fully understand or practice agroforestry. There is lack of knowledge, and this hinders the adoption of systems like sloping agricultural land technologies or multi-story cropping. In terms of training needs, 70% of beneficiaries express interest in agroforestry training, particularly for cacao processing and soil conservation practices. For the market and post-harvest facility assessment, the following were our documentations. Farmers in the surveyed areas face economic struggles due to low incomes, around 20,000 Philippine peso annually, reliance on middlemen, and poor market access. Many lack training in modern farming, which is reducing productivity. Environmental challenges like soil erosion and poor infrastructure worsen their situation. From these different component assessments, we did correlations to identify and quantify the relationships between and among the components, and the correlation results will form part of the discussion points for the farm planning. In farm planning, concerned partner agencies like stakeholders will be involved, including DNR, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Agrarian Reform, the Department of Public Works and Highways, the local government units, and the People's Organization. Convergence of different agencies allows to work together, to share resources and knowledge, and solve problems more effectively. So critical activities that are also for implementation as part of this project are the determination of the appropriate agroforestry systems for CBFM areas under the study, to monitor and evaluate agroforestry project interventions, and establishment of linkaging and networking. So for now, this is all the information that I can share with you about our project. However, I would like to take this moment to emphasize an important point, which is women have skills, intelligence, and leadership capabilities to effectively lead and manage projects. Their ability to think strategically, collaborate with diverse teams, and approach challenges with fresh perspectives makes them more than equipped to take the challenges. Thank you so much for your time, and may this sharing inspire us all. Thank you for your attention. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed
Thank you very much, Forester Joanne, for your presentation. With that, may we all proceed to the question and answer portion. May we request our speakers to please open their cameras. Okay, so for the first question, this question is for Dr. Come. So Dr. Come, Many native trees do not have known economic value compared to introduced species. How did the community accept planting native trees as part of the reforestation approach in sites in the Philippines where communities are involved? Again, many native trees do not have known economic value compared to introduced species. How did the community accept planting native trees as part of the reforestation approach in sites in the Philippines where communities are involved?
Yes, thank you for that question. But first, I would like to I'm a bit confused with the first statement that many of the native trees have no known economic values. I'm sorry because many of the premium species that we have are native, like the from the family Dipterocarpaceae. That's why they are prioritized in terms, in terms of logging earlier. No, we have already extracted many of these native trees. So how did we convince them? First is they know the quality of the wood of these species and how important they are, specifically in areas that are prone to landslides, and they have experienced how these forests have protected their parents or ancestors before, and then now that it's gone. So many of the areas located in this in steep slopes or relatively having um, topography are now experiencing this landslide, no? So no need to convince them, but because they have experienced it, how the importance of introducing or reintroducing again native trees. And also they have acknowledged also the importance in terms of the because their parents or the older people would share with them the important animals that they have seen, like the birds or any other animal species that they have before when they had this forest before, that now without this forest they cannot see, they don't see these species anymore. So these are the stories that have been shared to them, and so there's no, like, not really very difficult to convince them to bring back or to restore degraded areas in these communities using native trees. So in fact, that is how we are starting the restoration, by means of looking at the remaining patches of forests now in the area, and look at the remaining trees in there and the history. Ask the old people, so what are the kinds of trees that were growing before that they want to see again, something like that. So that's how we introduce the use of native trees.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, maybe we can quote, experience is the best teacher. Yeah, so, yeah, and then for our next question, this is for Ma'am Gilbero. So, with the gender-sensitive approach in your research, what specific roles do women play in the agroforestry systems in CBFM sites? Again, with the gender-sensitive approach in your research, what specific roles do women play in the agroforestry systems in CBFM sites?
Okay, thank you for that questions. As for my experience, I've been um in extension, right? As in my introduction, and I've seen really women who are responsive to every activities that is being called for whatever projects that it would be projects that would be implemented, especially by the government. So we ensure that in this project, we don't really just allow that like for example, only the male that would have the interest, but we also ensure that women are also participating. But again, based on our observations, especially during conduct of stakeholders, stakeholders profiling and interviews, it would always be the women who are in the forefront. So with that, we're so happy as we are celebrating now really women in forestry, women in agriculture. So part of this project is really showing that this is the reality. Women really plays a significant role when we talk about development. So that would be all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So unfortunately, we have limited time constraints, so we can only allow one more question. So any of the speakers, you may answer for this question. So since this webinar is for celebration of the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, so what are the challenges you have encountered as a woman working in science, and how did you overcome them? So maybe we can call on Dr. Wang.
Okay. Actually, because right now it's a noon, in China, the time is a noon. I'm in the morning, I actually busy with my kids. So that's why when I listen this question, I just smile. 'Cause, I think it's really hard for women to do the work-life balance. And this question, it exists. It already indicate that it's hard for women to do research and also to take care of the families. For me, I really hope later maybe in the future, this won't be a question. When it's not a question, that means there a real change for the situation. But I do agree. Right now, it's hard, but it's it's a kind of the entire society need to make contribution. Not only women, also including men. They need to understand more to keep this balance. So that's a question from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we hope in the few years, maybe that question won't exist anymore. So with that, our presentations and question and answer is coming to an end. Thank you everyone for joining, and truly with our presenters, we have determined that truly women and girls can make important and lasting impacts in the fields of science. With skills, intelligence, and leadership, truly we can make a difference. So thank you everyone for joining. And we invite you to the last session, which will be occurring later. And we hope to see you in the next year's webinar. Once again, happy International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Thank you for coming.